All right, so let's continue the discussions around this, and we are joined now by Ntate Omry Makgoale. He is a veteran of the ANC, but also a political commentator. Rebone, also someone who's been in the ranks of the ANC Youth League, joining us as political commentator as well. To both of you, thank you very much for coming through. Let me start with your thoughts on the nominees that have been made public now. Your thoughts about whether these people will inspire the confidence of the people of South Africa. Let me start with you, Ntate Makgoale.
Yes, I think, let me say that under the current conditions, the branches have decided on the team that is the top six. And maybe under the current conditions, under the current electoral laws inside the ANC, maybe that is the best the branches came to. I might have had some two surprises, that I was not aware of, but we have to agree with what the branches want.
Rebone, let's come to you. Your thoughts about whether the faces that are being put forward by the ANC will likely garner support for the ANC come 2024?
I think one must say the ANC is going through a difficult time as an organization, and also looking at the past local government elections, the outcomes of that elections, but also the 2019, the decline. So we've seen the decline of the ANC. But agreeing with him that what he just said now, is that this is what is the will of the branches, as they think that there's other candidates that can take South Africa forward.
Mr. Makgoale, let's come back to you. These faces, they have been put forward now by the ANC branches. Is that a suggestion that, as Rebone says, these are people that are likely to take not just the party to the next level, but as a consequence of the ANC being in government, these are the people that are going to lift us out of the myriad of problems that the country faces right now? Is there such confidence, you think?
Look, I think so far some of them have been there in the past, in the leadership positions in the past. For instance, Comrade Ramaphosa, President, has been there in the NEC since 1994 and so on. And some of the leaders have been there since the past 10 years. So they know the problems. They know the problems. And what we would expect from them, of course, is to have the courage to actually address these problems that are there, because they know the problems. And as to whether they will have the courage now to address some of these problems, it's another matter I don't have guarantee on. But they know the problems, and it is up to them really to lift the ANC out of the morass by having the courage to actually address the problems that are there, such as the infrastructure of the country, the railway infrastructure, the ESCOM problems, all those, they need to be addressed by them. So they must have the courage to address them.
So can I latch on to that word you use, Mr. Makgoale? Let me latch on to the word you use, and that is the courage of the leadership, the incoming leadership, hopefully, in Nasrec next month, that will implement the programs that are going to at least help the country move forward. You've mentioned President, for example, Ramaphosa. He has a massive number of support, at least at nomination level for now. He's someone that's been there since 1994, as you say. There has been a suggestion that if he is given a second term, he is going to have, quote unquote, the courage to take decisive action, because for the longest time he has been seen as indecisive. Where is that courage going to come from, you think?
I think we expect that he should be aware of his responsibility to the country and to the ANC. So, and being aware of that responsibility, he must then be in a position to move out of his own personal weaknesses, and stand up and hold the bull by the horns, to take the country out of the morals. Because without the courage to clean the police, for instance, we'll continue to have all things going wrong in corruption, because the police are incompetent. The police management are incompetent. And when we don't clean up the police, it means the criminals will continue walking free. And that is under his watch. So we expect him to do something about it.
Rebone, the young people, and I'm decidedly choosing to bring you in the conversation about young people like Ronald Lamola, people like Kgalema Motlanthe, I'm not sure whether he still can be referred to as young. They are there as part of the nominees, but are they bringing anything new on the table? Is there something that they are putting forward as credible proposals to lift, in particular, the youth out of the unemployment situation?
Unfortunately, I've not been following their campaigns because, we have not seen them in the public through media, where they speak, where one could say that I know what Lamola stands for. At the present moment, I'll be lying if I say I know what he stands for, what he seeks to achieve. In terms of even, I've not seen any poster with messagings of this is what he will do during his tenure as a deputy president with the ambitions that he has. I've just seen a mere poster that says Ronald Lamola for deputy president. So it is very difficult for one to then say that he will bring change for the youth because I've not really understood what is it that he stands for, and some have seen him as a sellout, because you must remember that he was part of a collective that emerged in 2011 that spoke about radical economic freedom in our lifetime, and some have said he's shifted away, and, especially when you look at the issue of land being the Minister of Justice, that there's also been debates on what the Youth League has always spoke around the issue of land, and some say that, okay, under his tenure as the Minister of Justice, he seems to be, shifting away from some of those things. So it is not going to be an easy one if that's the case. And Balula also the same. I've not really heard what he really stands for, what the change. But some would say that Balula will make a good SG because he's still young, he's vibrant. The secretariat needs someone who's also energetic, and so forth.
I want to keep you on for a little while, Rebone. You're using the word sellout, and I suspect that might get you into trouble. Why would Ronald Lamola be seen as a sellout by those in the same age group as he is, if you like? But also, I've had the opportunity to listen to him being interviewed on this channel, and he seemed to be putting forward very strongly that he is someone that can be relied upon because he, out of his own education or educational background, has been able to start a legal practice, which means, I read from that he is saying, I'm not dependent on a government job. So if there's one thing you can trust me on is that if you do get me on, elected to lead this country, I would be able to not be the type that is going to hang on to a government job for dear life because I have no alternatives. Is that something that could be seen as a selling point? Okay.
Because I have to leave now, but as I was saying, his generation, some that have led with him are saying this, and as I made reference to the issue of land with some of the debates that were there in Parliament, and they feel that he has shifted from what the Youth League, and they're very difficult because, yes, you can be there, but the thing is that you're not leading alone, you're leading with a collective, and in the ANC there's also what you call democratic centralism, you might have these ideas, but how are you going to navigate that? That is also to be seen. If he gets this position as the deputy president. Because you must remember also that there's different generations of the Youth League, and that does not mean the different generations, especially with him and Balula coming from the different generations of the Youth League, both being former leaders of the Youth League. It is very highly contested in terms of the generations. Who do they support? Who do they think will advance, those ideas? But yes, him having a law firm, which at some point there were controversy around that law firm, in the media. So one does not also want to go into detail around that because I just read briefly about it. But we wait to see if he's able to do that, to advance the issues of young people, if he would be given, because not all young people have got confidence in him that he's the best candidate, and not everyone within the different generations of the Youth League feel that he's got the capacity to do that.
Mr. Makgoale, you get to have the last word, and very briefly if you can, and I want to conclude the conversation on the score of corruption. The candidates that have been put forward, some of them, we know they're scandals, right from the top. Should South Africans be assured that that is something that the ANC takes seriously if these people are being put up as candidates to take the country forward?
I think the ANC as an organization is still paralyzed at the moment, because we still have to clean the ANC, introducing a new way of electing leaders. So for now, under these conditions, this is the best that was offered. And as I said, I don't know whether they will have the courage to actually move out of their cocoons and do the work, especially fighting corruption. The police management has been a disaster, and as we see in the papers, the Hawks, what has happened, Prasa has been destroyed, the Hawks with the files, they did nothing. And so corruption remains a big problem in the NPA and the police. So unless the current leadership can do something about it, we are still going down as the ANC, we are still going down as a country, and which is unfortunate for us.
Omry Makgoale, thank you very much for your time. Rebone, thanks indeed for your contribution as well.